And building community is not an easy thing, right? Building relationships at the end of the day is a very human-to-human connection. So how do you do that at scale? How do you have not 5 or 10 or 20 people in your community, but how do you have hundreds or even thousands or more? So I want to start, and we'll go through this journey today, but I want to just start by saying I hope that this is the beginning of growing this community with all of you and deepening the connections that also already exist, and also setting sort of a bit of a tone for how we have the day, because the reality is that some of us in our community, myself included as an Egyptian American born and raised abroad, speak Arabic well, but maybe not as well as somebody who was born and raised here. والعكس وفي ناس بيكلموا عربي ومش قادرين يكلموا إنجليزي بسهولة. فإحنا we're doing our best to ensure that everybody feels comfortable. So our goal for the day is to make sure that everybody feels comfortable and a part of the community no matter where they're coming from. Because we all care about the same thing, which is to create impact and to make this difference on the ground in Egypt. So if language is a barrier, and we're going to be going for both ways, we do have headsets here on the side where we're going to have translating, and some of the panels and conversations will end up being mixed, probably, depending on the language. So I just wanted to start by saying that. And I also want to welcome everybody and to the LEEP Lounge during the break and afterwards during the lunch to explore a bit more about the community that we're building and to share with each other and to explore how we can make more connections together moving forward. To start, I want to give a little bit of history about how RISE was founded, RISE Egypt, and what we were trying to achieve. Back in 2006 or 7, I was actually on the ground doing my doctoral research. I'm a social epidemiologist by training, and I was doing my PhD at the Harvard School of Public Health, but then in partnership with the Social Research Center here, not in partnership with, I was learning from the amazing researchers at the Social Research Center that were working at AUC on a study called the Urban Inequity Study. And this study was more than 6,000 households in Cairo looking at inter-urban disparities in health and development outcomes. And at the time, this is pre-revolution, 13 years ago, it was really coming at it from a researcher's perspective, but also sort of a very action-oriented activist perspective. And I started to think to myself, based on the evidence, there are a lot of initiatives that are happening that based on the evidence, we know they work. We know that these interventions, if you call it from a researcher's perspective, these social interventions, they make a difference in the lives of people, and they make a difference in bridging disparities in development outcomes in the country. So I started meeting with a lot of these innovators in the community and asking questions. And at the time, I was really thinking about what role could research play in helping to take an evidence-based approach to scaling these innovations. And you see a lot in academia and at the university, professors and researchers that are testing things, but in the end, it's not their incentive to really scale them, to make impact. Their incentive is to publish papers in journals, to present at conferences. But communities, individuals in their own communities, solving their own problems, that's where the incentive is to really grow, because you're seeing the impact on your own children, you're seeing the impact on your own environment, you're seeing the impact on your own health. So at first, the idea of RISE Egypt was really about how do we make a connection between academia and rigorous research, and more specifically applied social science research, and innovations that are coming up on the ground, people-driven development. How do we get away from top-down development, multilateral, top-down, government-based, and how do we get to really scale solutions that are based in communities? So this was the original idea. And then in 2011, as we all know, there was a huge wave of change. And with that came a sense of excitement about the possibilities for the future in so many different dimensions. And as an Egyptian American living abroad in Boston, at the time still doing my PhD, but also connected to many others at the best universities, the best organizations, and the best companies, wanting to do something, stuck abroad, Egyptians that were studying abroad, wanting to come back and wanting to do something, we got together and we came up with an idea called NIGMA. And NIGMA was a conference and social innovation competition that we ran at MIT Media Lab, and we did that for 2 years in a row. And some of you have come to the NIGMA conference in 2012 and 2013, and sort of Rise was sort of a continuum after that as well. And what we did was we tested another component. This other component was, how can we get Egyptians around the world to engage with the movements that were happening on the ground to make social and economic impact? And so what we were really interested in doing was organizing and leveraging the social and intellectual capital of Egyptians around the world and thinking of ourselves as one community. So it's not about, we're here and you're there, and it's definitely not about expertise, because there's expertise everywhere. It's about, we all have this shared passion and this shared love and this shared vision around making impact in Egypt. And yet we're spread around the world and we have different backgrounds, some even different subcultures within the Egyptian community, and yet we still want to make this impact together. And so we came together, we tested this, and we had a conference where we brought a lot of Egyptians, Masriyin bin Khaireg, and our networks that were interested in this topic of social entrepreneurship, innovation, impact, development, sustainable development. And we saw what would happen. And we had an application process, and we leveraged social media, and we didn't know, are we gonna get 2 applications? Are we gonna get 200? We didn't know. And we ended up getting quite a lot of people applying just by doing this social media call, and by starting to partner with a lot of the amazing organizations that were already in existence on the ground, whether Nahdat Mahrousa or Ashoka or Flat 6 Labs was just starting. There were a lot of organizations that were popping up, and we connected with them as well, and they helped us gain some reach. Well, part of that conference was workshopping challenges. We said, come with 2 major challenges that you have as a social entrepreneur. And we're gonna spend part of the day, people can just go, sit at a table with these entrepreneurs and workshop these challenges. It turned out, and mind you, the conference was $100, that the most, and of course we had to evaluate it because a bunch of researchers, the most exciting part of the entire experience for both the entrepreneurs and for the participants of the conference was this workshopping of solutions to these challenges, and enabling networks and problem solving together. And part of the feedback that we got was, from people abroad was, we often only hear about the negative parts of Egypt, what difficulties, the politics, the whatever, right? But we rarely get to see, especially in the media, these amazing, inspiring, innovative solutions. And so it was very exciting for people to be connected to these inspiring people that were leading these solutions, and to be able to do the little bit of part, which was the other thing, was this is something I can offer. It's a bridge for me to cross, that it's not just about I'm connecting with Egypt so I can come back and visit my family, or I'm gonna put some of my old clothes together عشان أوزعها أو أي حاجة زي كده that a lot of people have experienced, but actually I can give of my mind, I can give of my networks, I can give of my connections, I can give of my time in a way that is strategic and impactful. And so this added the third component. So we had innovations on the ground, we have an evidence-based approach, and then we have a global community that really cares to give, and that really wants to partner with these solutions. And I always have said from the very beginning, it's really not about one giving to another. It's really about how can we partner to make impact, because we come with different resources and different backgrounds, and we need to bring these resources together and these backgrounds together to make the impact that we all want in the end. So this was a bit of the vision of Rise Egypt, and it was very much found on a base of shared values, and I want to share a little bit about that.
What if we could realize innovation through social entrepreneurship in Egypt? What if we could build a global network that would support Egyptian innovators with their entrepreneurial spirit to make social and economic impact? We are committed to supporting social enterprises in Egypt by harnessing the talents of our global network and measuring impact every step of the way. We believe we must invest in ourselves first and lead by example. We believe that excellence is a process, not just an outcome. We believe technology should be used to catalyze human connectivity, not to replace it. We believe in having fun. For a community to flourish, its members must feel nourished. We believe the strongest communities are based on real human connections. We believe that by bringing together sharp minds and open hearts, we can transform Egypt. We are Rise Egypt.
So this was put together really that gets at the heart of what we're trying to do. And one thing I'm very proud of is that these statements are statements that were created and rooted some 6-7 years ago, and I really feel with the amazing team that we have and experiences and journey that we've been on over the past 6 or 7 years, that we've been able to stay true to them, stay true to those values and that purpose. And so LEEP is an extension of that. Next, what happened is that in 2014, we launched initially with a fellowship program as our flagship program. And this fellowship program basically stemmed from the winners of the NIGMA competition. The first year, the prize was to have an accelerator program here in Egypt. And we did that through partnerships with the organizations that I mentioned before. And then the feedback that we got from the entrepreneurs was, this was amazing, it was such a great experience, but we basically feel like we got fast-tracked to a lot of the resources that if we're industrious enough, we can access within the country. But globally, we also as a community have so many other resources, and there are sometimes things that I can't access within Egypt that I would like to access. Can we leverage our global network in order to make that happen? And so the second year, when we ran the conference again, then the winners of the NIGMA competition got a global accelerator. And this became the basis for co-creating what would become the fellowship. And the winners of the second year's NIGMA competition were Hilm, and Educate Me, and Madad. Hilm and Educate Me continued on in the fellowship with us, along with Tahrir Academy, Jazour, and Recyclabikia. And we went on a 2-year journey together. So all of 2015 and all of 2016, we were in a fellowship where essentially we would take needs assessments with them and find out, again, what were the 2 core challenges that they needed to address at each stage. And then we would look into our global network to see what resources, what people, what examples could serve as learning partners to help overcome these challenges. And we went through a process whereby certain projects or work was established with global advisors, with Rise Global Advisors and the entrepreneurs to overcome those challenges, and this was an iterative process that was 2 or 3 times over. We focused on technical capacity building, so sector-based, deep sector-based work that would assist each enterprise in their particular needs, as well as from the business scaling up side, as well as data for decision making and taking evidence-based approaches. And after 2 years, and what occurred to me a few days ago was that it was exactly 3 years ago today that that first class of fellows graduated on January 9th, 2017. So I want to play a short video that sort of gives a little bit of insights into how that went. The street at the Kempinski. Maybe we can turn it up a little.
كل اللي احب اقوله انه بفرح جدا لما اشوف انه رئيس مستمره وان المشروعات حقيقيه مش وهم مش كلام لان هو ده اللي احنا محتاجينه في مصر.
I really think it's all about the team and it's all about the support. So thank you very much everybody in this room and to our amazing team for this amazing journey.
And I think it's incredible the progress that's been made in such a short period of time.
And the team is amazing. And thank you all for your support. Rise is very, very special, and you're the ones who are making it special. خليكم معانا even if you graduate.
Great people who've done so much for us, not only on the professional level but also on the personal level.
Already you're a hero, but the fact that you graduated from this program, you're a bigger hero.
The Rise family continue to invest their time, financial support, or their subject matter expertise. Helm, Educate Me, Jazur, or any of the other incredible social entrepreneurs that we have supported, all have seen the impact of our global network. We are truly blessed to have such an incredible first class of fellows graduating.
Thank you. So on January 10th, I think, I was having breakfast with Dr. Leila Skandar. Many of us know her well and love her. And she was asking a bit more about the fellowship program and some of the work that we were doing. And she sits on the board of Al-Fanar, another wonderful organization doing great work in Egypt. And in particular, she was asking about the research side of things. We had started a longitudinal study with Educate Me. Shinoda, good, you found us. And she said to me something that really a light bulb went off. She said, you've done so much to leverage so many resources and networks but in the end, to support 5 teams. But those same resources, those same networks, could have helped hundreds. And that there's so many people innovating in these spaces and in these sectors who actually might not even consider themselves a social entrepreneur, but they are. And they're making that change and they're making that difference. So how do we organize something that enables us to take the resources and the same processes that we've established in the fellowship program, but to really gain more reach? And so the light bulb that went off when we came back as a team and we were thinking about it was, that's exactly right. And we're not financial investors. We're not, particularly financially vested in any one of these entities. We want to see as many solutions scale as possible because we want to make as much impact in Egypt as possible. Because at the end of the day, we're a nonprofit organization that wants to support entrepreneurship for development in Egypt. And we want to bridge these disparities, going back to the original vision, taking an evidence-based approach, and also leveraging community. And so at the time, we came up with an idea of solution summits. And solution summits, originally, we thought, let's come up with a summit or a platform for knowledge exchange, where we can have local knowledge, local solutions, also mixing with global knowledge and global solutions at scale. And we thought at the time, and this was in early 2017, that we would roll these out by sector over several years. So we'd start with education, we'd move to health, we'd do environment, creative industries. and that we would just kind of cycle through and have solution summits be another thing that we did. Well, we took a very participatory approach again to designing the solution summit. We had some roundtables, focus groups, one-on-ones, different stakeholders. And what was interesting is that we kept getting feedback about, or in the middle, people would say, you know what, after the solution summit, let's work on X or Y. Or after the solution summit, let's do Z. And we started saying, well, there's so much momentum to take action. Why are we just making this a platform for knowledge exchange? Why not let's design this whole summit as a platform for action? And so we changed our strategy from it being a larger summit, not a huge one. I mean, we were envisioning 250, 300. We actually reduced it down to 100, and we said, we'll keep it started in education. And we'll do the knowledge exchange piece, local and global, but we'll actually dedicate the second half of the second day, 25% of the summit, to co-creating ideas that could spin out and be a collaborative in the ecosystem to support evidence and collaboration for greater impact. And so we came out of the first solution summit we did was in education on evidence-based innovation and investment in education in November 2017. And we did have all of these ideas spin out. I want to share for a minute what the solution summit looked like. Is there a way to turn up the volume?
Today we're having our first RISE Solutions Summit, focusing on evidence-based innovation and investment in education. Education has the potential to really transform people and transform nations. So we want to, as we think about innovation and entrepreneurship and development, to really ground ourselves in that and really understanding the critical importance of education.
الاتجاه بتاع المؤتمر ان هو يوري الانفسترز او يوري المجتمع عامه انه في طريقه نقيس بيها الانفستمنت او الاستثمار اللي بيتعمل في العمل المجتمعي. دي حاجه قويه جدا لان ده من شانها انها تشجع الناس اكتر انها تستثمر او انها تدي فلوس في حاجات غير ملموسه.
The idea of the workshopping itself, I like it very much because you have a diversified group of people. You find researchers, the entrepreneurs, educators, and all of them are coming to think with that person that has the idea how to improve it.
It's not just one specific activity, but how we flow from one to the other, the variety of activities. It was very informative, and it was really beautiful to see how a young entrepreneur is setting up his business and how the input of everybody around him in order to support him in his growth and in his development. It was quite interesting and heartwarming.
إن أنا ألاقي كذا حد بيشتغل في different areas of education in that much depth, connecting with these different change makers and the number of cards that I was able to exchange and conversations I was able to have, it meant a lot to me. فدايما بحب these types of gatherings and I wish that they would continue on a regular basis. Thank you for the map and thank you for
Pay attention to this
incredible
map.
influential change makers in education that you brought to the summit.
Basically, research-based innovation is a fundamental pillar of making good public policy and making good work in the field of social policy, particularly if you're thinking that resources are scarce and that you have to make sure that you use them efficiently and effectively, and that you're having the biggest impact that you can on families and children that already have very few resources.
What I really enjoyed about the event is the fact that it was very participatory. I like the fact that when you have that level of expertise and stakeholders in the same room, people typically are passive listeners, but here everyone had a voice, everyone contributed. There's a very dynamic environment. There's a very different setup. I love the space and the participants, and I think it was a very good experience overall.
And I think that we were able to facilitate some conversations that are really crucial in helping us to push this work forward. And I think it really solidified, in my mind anyway, that there really is true demand for furthering this work. And so we're really looking forward to doing more of this work together in the coming year.
So several things came out of the last part of that summit. how could we build on this map? Noran will speak a bit about that later. It was her brilliant idea. So it was at Townhouse Gallery downtown, and took the whole wall of the factory. And the idea was, how can we leverage the knowledge of the community to map innovations that are happening? One thing we find a hard time, you see mapping of the ecosystem and who are the ecosystem players, but if you actually just want to know who's innovating in healthcare or who's innovating in education or in the environment or whatever, it's a brainstorming session. There's no place to go to actually find that. And so one of the things that we wanted to do was to create a participatory, sort of community-driven map of innovations across the country. And we didn't know how that was going to go, but it ended up being one of the most popular parts of the experience. And one of the things that came out of the collaboratives is we want to build on this map and we want to digitize it. So so we played on that with LEEP. The other thing was evidence and research. There is a thirst and a demand for entrepreneurs to take an evidence-based, data-driven approach to scaling their innovations, but sometimes there's a loss at how to do that. And so one of the ideas that came out was, how can we build a research network that works directly with these entrepreneurs on those things? Impact metrics, evidence-based approaches, impact studies, things like that. Just understanding from the literature what's worked and what's not in these spaces. So that was another piece. So LEEP builds on that as well. And then a third component was just this idea of peer-to-peer, basically community-to-community knowledge exchange. And how can we centralize that? How can we capture what happens, the learning that happens, and know that there's a go-to spot to find it? And how can we build a community of trust and connections that we believe in, that we want to be a part of, that we can ask questions to easily and get answers from easily? And so LEEP starts to integrate all of those things. We spent about a year building the foundation for LEEP, which we realized has to be both, it was originally envisioned to be an open knowledge and networks platform, so a digital platform. And only through, again, our outreach and engagement did we come back to the idea that, no, it's not about it being an online platform or a digital platform. It really is about how can we build community? How can this be a LEEP community, but that is supported by a digital platform? Because we do live and exist across boundaries and across languages. So we took some road trips, both globally and locally. Globally, Noran and I did some trips to New York, Philadelphia, Boston. We met with people at the MIT Media Lab, at the Harvard Humanitarian Initiative, about mapping for social impact, about gaining reach in places that are not connected. We met with people at the Data for SDGs team in New York City around metrics and how to unify metrics, and also to unify the work that's happening on the ground with National Development Strategy, Egypt 2030 Plan, Sustainable Development Goals, and the likes. We met with different stakeholders globally to do for ourselves what we do in the fellowship program, which is create learning partnerships and not just start and work in the dark, but really to start from a place of as much knowledge as we can and as much evidence and background as we can before we take our steps. We did that globally and we did it locally as well. So we hit the road. We did a bunch of stuff here in Cairo, but we also decided to go for Said. We went to Minya, Sohaig, and Aswan, which was not only a ton of fun, but extremely insightful. So I wanted to share just a minute about how that went with you. We are heading down to Upper Egypt, to Minya, Sohaig, and Aswan to meet with social entrepreneurs in these different governorates. We're very excited about doing this because we think it's so important to understand what these entrepreneurs are going through, what their real needs are, and to get outside of Cairo to really understand the context better, where the gaps are, and also where the successes are. So this is a little tidbit. We have a couple more as well, but it was so fun, and so many organizations helped us with that as well. Clean Tech Arabia, Dandara Aga Khan Foundation to really understand what, and a bunch of ahead of the curve to start making connections in areas where they were doing work and to try to gather, some people that are innovating in Upper Egypt to get their feedback. So lastly, basically all of this was come together into what is now LEEP. And so today we're going to describe and go on a journey of now, this is how we got to LEEP. This was the journey to LEEP. But then what is LEEP? What are we trying to achieve? We put together a short explainer video. This is very sort of bird's eye view, 30,000 feet. But one thing I just want to share is, one acronym we came up with along the way was PRISM. And PRISM stands for professionals, policymakers, researchers, investors or impact investors, solutions drivers or social entrepreneurs, and then mediating organizations. So other organizations in the support ecosystem. And so we were very clear-eyed about, okay, how do we design this? We can't do everything all at once. And no ecosystem for entrepreneurship can be designed without putting entrepreneurs at the heart of it. So we decided we're going to design around the entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs' needs first. But we also want people to be able to see the larger, longer-term vision across all these different stakeholder groups over time, and how do we integrate this so it really makes the greatest impact possible. So I want to share this next video. We have an English and an Arabic version, but for this one we'll share the Arabic version. And this gives the 30,000 feet on what is LEEP. Can we turn it up, please?
الأعمال أو الانتربرينورشيب بقت من أهم القوى المؤثرة على النمو الاقتصادي والاجتماعي في مصر في السنين الأخيرة. بسبب الحلول اللي بتطلع منها لمواجهة تحديات تنموية معقدة. حلول شايفينها بتطبق حوالينا في التعليم والصحة والطاقة المتجددة
الصوت ممكن عليها؟
والمجالات الإبداعية.
You're trying?
وكلها حلول بيطبقها الناس بنفسهم بهدف تحسين جودة حياة الأفراد والمجتمعات جوه بلدهم. وكمان بقى عندنا عدد من البرامج اللي ظهرت لدعم وتمويل رواد الأعمال اللي شغالين على الحلول دي. لكن المنظومة أو الإيكو سيستم حديثة التكوين ومفككة بسبب إن معظم الموارد متركزة في القاهرة ومتوزعة بشكل غير متوازن بين القطاعات المختلفة. لو دققنا هنلاقي إن منظومة ريادة الأعمال المفككة معناها تكاليف مادية إضافية وفرص بديلة بتضيع مننا، لأن معظم الجهود والتمويل بتتحط في مبادرات بتكرر بعضها، وده بيحصل في نفس الوقت مع تفويت أو تجاهل فرص للاستثمارات شاملة تقدر تحقق عوائد اجتماعية واقتصادية أكبر من دلوقتي بكتير. الأدلة المتاحة بتعرفنا إن تمكين وتفعيل التعاون والترابط جوه بيئة ريادة الأعمال يقدر يدفع النمو والابتكار بشكل ملحوظ. يعني بالرغم من إن المشاريع المجتمعية تقدر تأثر على الواقع بشكل فردي، لكن لما مختلف الأطراف المعنية يبقوا قادرين على التعاون واستغلال الموارد سواً في سبيل الوصول لأهداف مشتركة، ساعتها بس هنقدر نحقق تغيير حقيقي على مستوى المنظومة ككل. المنصات المجتمعية الرقمية تعتبر من أهم أدوات تحفيز الشكل ده من التعاون والتغيير في المنظومة، لأنها بتيسر الوصول والاطلاع والربط اللي من غير المنصات دي ممكن ما يتحققوش من الأساس. عشان كده مجموعة من قادة منظومة ريادة الأعمال في مصر شغالين دلوقتي على إطلاق منصة جديدة تحت اسم LEEP for Collaborative Impact بهدف دفع ريادة الأعمال التنموية في مصر للمرحلة اللي جاية. LEEP هتشتغل أونلاين وأوفلاين، وأهم وظائفها هو تمكين مستخدميها من الوصول لمكتبة موارد عالية الجودة مع اتصالها بخريطة الإبداع المجتمعي الرقمي في مصر. وفي نفس الوقت LEEP هتكون مساحة للتواصل والتفاعل بين المبتكرين وبعض وبينهم وبين الخبراء في مجالاتهم بهدف تسهيل استكشاف ومناقشة الأفكار وتبادل المعلومات والاطلاع على آخر المستجدات. بداية، الخريطة هتخلي أي حد يعرف الابتكار المجتمعي بيحصل فين في مصر حسب القطاع وحسب مرحلة النمو. بالإضافة لده، الخريطة هتستخدم مؤشرات التنمية الأساسية لمساعدة المستخدمين على تقييم الوضع بوضوح وتصور أماكن وجود الفرص التنموية وفين على أرض الواقع بيتم التعامل معها من عدمه. لو كنت من رواد الأعمال هتقدر تتعرف على فجوات السوق وعلى فرص التوسع والنمو، وكمان هتقدر تتعرف على الكيانات المختلفة اللي يحتمل تقدر تتعاون معاهم أو تستشيرهم في مجالك. أما لو كنت من المستثمرين ليب هتقدم لك معلومات مهمة عن فين بتحصل الابتكارات، وهتخليك مطلع على سلسلة من الحلول مدعومة بالبيانات والأدلة لمختلف القضايا اللي ممكن تكون مهتم بيها. وده طبعا هيساعدك على تسريع قراراتك الاستثمارية لتحقيق أفضل نتائج ممكنة. بالإضافة لكده، ليب هتمكن الباحثين من الوصول للأسئلة الحقيقية اللي محتاجة إجابة على أرض الواقع، وده هيؤدي لتعاون فعال أكثر بين العاملين في الحقل الأكاديمي وبين مجتمعات ريادة الأعمال. أما بالنسبة للمؤسسات الداعمة، فهتقدر تحدد خدماتها لرواد الأعمال بشكل أفضل، يضمن إن بيتقدم لهم أنواع الخدمات اللي محتاجينها فعلا لنمو أعمالهم وتحقيق على أثر ممكن. ومع مرور الوقت، وضاعي السياسات سيكتسبوا القدرة على تمييز السياسات والإجراءات الفعالة من غيرها. بالطريقة دي هيكونوا قادرين ياخدوا خطوات فعلية لخلق بيئة قادرة على تعزيز نمو الاقتصاد القائم على الابتكار. لكن احنا عارفين ان التكنولوجيا ما هي الا مجرد حافز للتغيير، لان نمو العلاقات البشرية ضروري عشان المجتمع يقدر يطور الثقة والروابط اللازمة لإنتاج أثر تنموي حقيقي. وللسبب ده ليب هتدعم التواصل الشخصي على شكل لقاءات مصممة مساحة لتبادل المعرفة والأفكار والموارد ضمن المجتمعات المحلية. انضموا لمنصة ليب وشاركونا رحلة الوصول لمستقبل أكثر ابتكارا في مصر.
Great. So